Hello everyone and welcome. In today's video we are tackling a more complicated topic in storytelling, time. So this video is going to be a little bit more academic in nature, but don't panic. I will apply what I'm talking about to game writing, so you won't be left wondering what on earth is going on. Time is one of the most versatile tools in storytelling, and while every story unfolds through time, the way time is represented, manipulated and experienced can drastically alter the meaning and even emotional impact of an adventure. Understanding the relationship between the signifier and the signified, the structures of narrative time, and the distinction between Fabula and Syuzhet helps TTRPG game writers and GMs craft pretty cool stories. So stay with me, as understanding all of this does actually help with TTRPG writing, and of course, storytelling in general. Right, so let's get into it. First, I'm going to talk about the signifier and the signified. The signifier is the form a sign takes, such as a word, image, or scene, while the signified is a concept the sign represents. But what the heck does that all mean? Okay, so let's use the film Saving Private Ryan. The opening scene is a flash forward and is set in the present day. It shows an elderly veteran who is Private Ryan in a tearful and emotional state in a cemetery in France. The cemetery scene is the signifier. The signified, or the idea a tearful Private Ryan represents, is, let's say, the cost of war. So the way the signifier and the signified relationship is created in Saving Private Ryan is that there is a cut from a peaceful but emotional cemetery scene to the visceral D-Day landings. Consequently, time manipulation becomes a signifying system that creates a deeper meaning. Suddenly, we understand why an elderly Private Ryan is crying and what this means. The time jump connects the horrors of World War II to the present day. His crying now has an emotional weight, a historical significance linked to an actual event. It has temporal placement. Imagine if we saw the D-Day landings first, and then a much older Private Ryan at the cemetery. It just wouldn't have the same impact. In D&D, a GM might hint at a character's potential demise during a dream sequence. The image in the dream is the signifier, but what does it signify? Is it danger, fate, or an inability to escape one's previous actions? The answer depends on what the GM has in mind. Players might interpret the dream as either a prophecy or an illusion. Either way, both options help build an immersive session that keeps your players thinking and engaged with the story. Storytime versus narrative time. Storytime refers to the chronological sequence of events in the story's world. In other words, the order in which events actually happen. Narrative time, however, refers to how these events are told to the audience. A great example in film of when these two timelines diverge and then marry up is Pulp Fiction. The story time is completely scrambled. The audience must piece together events chronologically while watching a film. Hopefully, their efforts feel rewarded as everything begins to click into place as they reach the end. Similarly, in The Godfather Part 2, if I can fit in any reference to The Godfather, I will, the narrative jumps between Michael's rise to power in the present and Vito's origin story. This contrast superbly demonstrates how power corrupts differently across generations. The narrative time, the switching back and forth between the two characters, gives the audience a deeper understanding of how people act in different ways to get what they want, more so than what a strictly linear timeline would do. In TTRPGs, narrative time can be adjusted and manipulated through flashbacks, visions, or even split timelines. Imagine an adventure that opens with a scene of a ruined city and then jumps back 50 years. This structure builds a sense of foreboding. Every action players might take could lead them towards or away from that grim future. Actually, this is what's exactly happening in a game I'm playing at the moment. GMs can drop hints at closer distance between story time and narrative time, like an NPC remembering the party as historical figures long before they meet. Fabula and Syuzhet. Russian formalists Viktor Shklovsky and Vladimir Prop introduced the concepts of Fabula and Syuzhet to describe narrative structure. Formalism was a school of literary theory from around the 1910s all the way up to the 1930s. Fabula is the chronological sequence of events like story time, while Syuzhet is the way those events are organised and presented to the reader, or players. So yeah, it's the equivalent of narrative time. In Memento, the fabula or chronological sequence of events is quite easy to get your head around. A man seeks revenge for his wife's murder. But the Syuzhet, or how this timeline is represented, is deeply fragmented. The film unfolds backwards, scene by scene, mimicking short-term memory loss. The structure forces the audience to experience confusion and disorientation, mirroring the main character's perspective. Consequently, the Syuzhet, or narrative timeline, directly affects the audience by keeping them in a state of wondering what the heck is going on. In D&D, as a GM, you can use Syuzhet to hide or reveal information, create suspense, or deliver plot twists. Your players might discover an abandoned monastery, but you reveal the clues in reverse order. Perhaps they are first exposed to events closest to when everyone left. The fabula remains the same, but the Syuzhet takes them on a journey of revelation, step by step. This technique also allows for environmental storytelling. In other words, the dungeon itself, or in this instance, the monastery gives away some of the plot. Perhaps in the final scene there's a mural or tapestry on the monastery's wall that illustrates exactly what happened before everyone disappeared. Before I tell you about more techniques to use time as a narrative device, if you've learned something or enjoyed everything so far, please do like and subscribe, as it helps the channel reach more people just like you. Anyway, back to the video. But what techniques can you use to really double down on using time as a narrative device? Flashbacks and visions. Flashbacks can reveal character backstory or lore. For example, a paladin might experience a vision of a historical battle that they fought in a past life. This adds to the story without slowing down the game. The trick to heighten impact is to make these moments playable. Perhaps the player has to roll for choices in the flashback that affect the present day. Time loops and repetition. If we take note from films like The Edge of Tomorrow or Groundhog Day, we can create dungeons where characters are stuck until a condition is met or something happens. Players experience repetition, adapt their plans, and learn from consequences. Each loop reveals a little more about what is going on, while building a bit of anticipation and intrigue through narrative time. Non-linear storytelling. A GM can introduce multiple timelines or quests that occur in parallel. If we take the Witcher series, the different timelines are eventually revealed to be connected. In your adventure, you could run two parties, one in the past, one in the present. Your players are solving the same mystery, and the outcome of one impacts the world of the other. Foreshadowing through time. Ruined castles and eerie old portraits are physical representations of the passing of time in a fantasy world. A sword rusting in the ruins of a castle keep might once have belonged to a character we're yet to meet or hear about. GMs can use a Signified relationship to create a really layered story by planting signs of future events. Dungeon as a time device. Dungeons are spaces that operate out of time. They can be hidden, lost, and legendary. A clever GM can structure a dungeon where each level represents a different era. Players can jump backwards or forwards through decades at a time. Each room becomes a Syuzhet element, revealing parts of the fabula. The dungeon becomes both a literal and narrative mechanism for exploring time. My favourite films that use time. Here are 3 of my favourite films that use time as a central part of the theme. Inception. Time passes differently in each dream level. This multi-layered structure creates urgency, as a few seconds in the real world is the same as hours in a dream. GMs can mimic this by running simultaneous scenes in different planes or dimensions with different time flows. Interstellar. A mission to a planet costs years of life. This concept can be used in TTRPGs with magical realms or different worlds within time warps. Perhaps a side quest costs the players a decade in the real world. They return home, but everything is different. Arrival. The protagonist experiences her life non-linearly, understanding language and communication in a way that reshapes her experience of cause and effect. The film, I think, is heavily inspired by the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. I won't be getting into that here, but it's definitely worth checking out, as it's quite interesting, though it has been debunked now. If we think about TTRPGs, a campaign about destiny, time travel, or the gods of time can draw on this idea. To really mess with your players' heads, how about giving them memories of things they haven't done yet? Time is more than just chronology. It can be used to insert meaning into a narrative that otherwise wouldn't be there. Memento, Arrival, and The Godfather Part 2 elegantly show the power of using narrative time. In TTRPGs and Dungeons & Dragons, these ideas can be put into action with flashbacks, time loops, and non-linear quests that use time as both a mechanic and a theme. Mastering time in storytelling isn't just about manipulating a plot. It's about creating a game that stays with your players long after it's ended. Anyway, that's all for today, folks, and I'll see you in the next one.